All right, so it being 5:03 on October 2nd, we're going to call this meeting to order. I believe we're going to forego public comment from now, but of course, if anything comes up, let us know, Erica and Aaron. So we'll move right into the committee updates. So we'll start with the GM Search Committee. Ray.
So the GM Search Committee, we've received about 36 applications. We've rated them against the requirements that we had set out in terms of the specifications, skills, education, experience. And we narrowed that down to a subset. We did a more critical evaluation, ranking each of those candidates against that criteria, and then narrowed that down to about 6 candidates that we interviewed. Preliminary interviews, they responded to standard set of questions, and we are now close to recommending to the general board a slate of candidates that we'd like to move forward.
Excellent. Do you have a anticipated or an ideal schedule for sharing that with the board and determining the schedule for kind of final interviews?
We have been working. Yeah, it's in the next week or so. We're ready to recommend to the board and begin announcing when the board would have open interviews with the candidates. We're talking to the candidates and seeing their response. So I don't have the actual dates that I can report out on, although I know we're working with Susan to kind of get that scheduled. But we're mindful that we want to try to get someone selected promptly so that we can move forward. But I don't have the exact dates.
Okay. Erica, do you happen to have the original dates handy of like what our aligned schedule was, or is that something Susan might have?
I'm just going to give Bob a call. 1 second. Hey, Bob.
I do want to say, as part of that process, while we're tracking that piece of information down, that as a part of our review, we met with various groups of the RMLD staff and got their feedback in terms of, what did they like, what values and qualities did they see that we should be mindful of in our GM search. And we want to say that has been very helpful to us. We're very mindful of their feedback. Certainly I'm very mindful of it. And we talk about those qualities when the candidates have asked us, what are we looking for? We pair it back. We talk to the staff, and these are the qualities we're looking for. So it's been very, very helpful to us in our search, and it's been a high in our minds in terms of those qualities.
And if I could add to it, when he says staff, that's both represented and non-represented type. So you had, union folks and non-union folks being asked those questions.
Yeah, only that we broke down into manageable groups so that we could talk to groups separately. But yeah, it was across the board.
Yeah. Everybody was given an opportunity to weigh in.
Right.
You guys did a lot of work. I see a lot of meetings have been happening.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Paul, for any help you've been providing.
I stayed out of the way.
Yeah. It's excellent progress.
Of the end point. That's the one thing Paul has kept us on track with.
Yeah. Always good to have the end in mind. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the update, and thank you. Agree. I concur with what Commissioner Talbot said in terms of thanks for all the commitment. I know it's a lot of time, and certainly appreciate folks who have thrown their hat into the ring for the role as well. Really exciting to hear. I will do a double check, but I think our objective is to really get through the interview process in the month of October, to allow us time for any, selection, deliberation, and contract negotiation so that we can, kind of secure our plan before the holidays. So would be excellent if we keep our focus on, I know Erica's working diligently to make sure we have meeting times slotted and available, let's work towards getting those on the calendar as quickly as we can. And we can certainly slot in candidate names on those available slots. But I know things get busy, so let's try to get that scheduled as quickly as we can.
Okay, Bob's in. Oh, perfect. All right. Thanks, Bob.
Okay.
He might have some additional information, which is why I just wanted him to pop on.
Yeah, absolutely. Bobby, there?
Hold on, he's rejoining as a panelist so that he can talk.
Okay.
So here now.
Yes,
Hey,
I'm
Bob.
in.
Hi.
I'm in. Yes.
Joining. Ray just gave us a quick update in terms of kind of the candidate process, number of candidates, and the fact that you're very close to making a recommendation on the 3 finalists. And we were just talking a little bit about the timeline and the objective of getting the final interview time slots on the calendar so that we can ensure we get through that process by the end of October. Do you want to add anything to?
Yep. No.
Ray also did talk about the importance of gathering feedback from the RMLD staff and how important that was to incorporate.
Yes, it was. It was very, very critical. Yes, for the needs and the wants. Yes, we have 3 finalists, so we are moving forward with the process. Now we're at the point where we will be scheduling an interview at both the convenience of the board and those 3 finalists. So that's what we need to do, is to put out some dates, multiple dates, so that we can get that done. And maybe if we get a couple of timeframes, so that way, if one person can't make it on one night, I would suggest to put out a couple of times for that, and then we can provide those to Susan, and then Susan can then work back with the candidates to get a night. I would prefer to have all 3 in one night. That would be my preference. Whether or not with that's we're able to get that in with everybody in our time frame. That's good. So so we are officially ready to go. So now it's a matter of scheduling. Unfortunately I am away Monday through Thursday next week, and the following week I am away Monday through Wednesday. So I am very limited on time on the following 2 weeks to be present.
Okay. I think, Erica, do you have all of that schedule information? I know you were working on just general board schedule over the next couple of months.
By some to you.
Yeah, I just have to join.
Or I can just join. Yeah, so I have it up right now. Quickly, just the restrictions, just to see if these are still the same. So I have Paul cannot do an in-person meeting from October 23rd to the first week of November. So if the plan is for Paul to be in person at the interviews, it would have to be before October 22nd or after the first week of November. Rich, I have you unavailable starting Wednesdays in November. Bob, I have you unavailable on Thursdays. There is a
Yeah, Erica, I will not be available the 6th through the 9th, nor the 13th through the 15th.
Would you be available on October 16th?
I can, yes, I can be.
Okay. So it seems like we're at like October 16th and maybe October 20th, 21st as potential dates.
And the 22nd, right? Because we could just use that meeting.
Yeah.
So back to the 22nd, Paul will not be here, is unavailable that day. At the very least, as far as a board meeting goes, we need to get a bid approved. So I do have that meeting as still running. Again, it's between you and Paul if you want Paul in person for that. But if you do want Paul in person, October 22nd will not work for interviews, but I would still like to have a board meeting to get that boiler bid approved.
If it's just a bid approval on the 22nd, that could take literally 2 minutes, right? So,
And unless there's some rules around Paul needing to be there, I think we'd be okay having a representative from procurement or otherwise on the 22nd. Any objections?
I'm not available on the 22nd.
So I would assume then that is just gonna be a bid meeting and not an interview meeting. It's kind of what I'm going for there.
Okay,
Um,
but I am available on our original 20 on the 15th. Wait, maybe I am available on the 22nd. Let me see.
so as far as just the bid goes, it will not be ready in time for anything before the 22nd because they have to do the analysis, et cetera. But we do just want to get it done, which is why I'm thinking even a quick Zoom meeting like the last time we did a bid, just to get that boiler ordered to heat station 1.
Okay.
Okay, so that, it sounds fine for October 22nd to at least target the bid approval. And then I just realized I'm traveling the 20th and 21st. So I don't, October 16th, can I just is that an option for folks? And
With
I
you-
think,
Yes.
okay. And then I know Thursdays are tough. Are they always tough for you beyond that, Bob? Like if we did the 23rd?
So if we did, I could do the 16th to the 23rd.
Okay.
And also and if it, again, goes back to the 20th, 21st, but it sounds like you're traveling on those days, so that's not possible.
Yeah, unfortunately.
All right, that brings us, if we even talk about the week of the 27th, 28th, again, that Monday, Tuesday, 27th, 28th, I'm not available, but the 29th and 30th, I am, which is, sounds, that's a long way out from today, 3 weeks, but
Yeah, it is.
And I want to be clear, that would mean Paul will not be attending in person. Just want
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And unless we open up a Friday, which,
No, I think so yeah, 16th or 17th, potentially if folks are willing to do a Friday, or 23rd, 24th. Potentially. So maybe we prioritize 16th and 23rd as options and we check candidates' availability for those days. And if we can find one that works for all, we pick one of those 2 Thursdays. And it's just a long night. And Fridays as backups.
Yeah, or even the 30th, possibly, right? Oh, no, that's Paul. Paul's not available then. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah, he wouldn't be available the 23rd or 24th to be there in person anyway. But I think it also is really running late. So we want to try to prioritize closer to the mid of the month.
I have to check. I'll have to check with the open meeting law. Our building is closed on Friday, so I don't know if we can do an in-person meeting. I just would need to triple check that's how to go about that with open meeting law.
Okay.
Well,
All right. Well, another reason to prioritize Thursday, October 16th or 23rd.
We also could meet offsite elsewhere.
So if the building is closed on the 23rd, just because it's not open,
24th would be when it was closed.
Friday.
23rd, it should be open.
or I'm sorry, I mean, couldn't we open the doors for the
Yeah.
purchase of?
oh, I would,
Right?
I would
mean,
think so, yeah.
I think so. I mean,
We'll take the the location offline again.
Yeah,
I don't think
sure.
anyone wants to
Absolutely.
prioritize Friday anyway. So let's again, unless any objections, October 16th and 23rd, priority would be one of those 2 days, having everybody in one evening, with Fridays those 2 weeks as backup.
Good.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Excellent. All right. So anything else on the search process?
Sorry, one more, Hank. You're probably going to need 2 meetings, so we probably should book 2 because I don't know if you'll be ready to announce the same day you interview. And you'll have to announce in public.
Okay.
The 17th, that type of thing. If you did it 23rd, we could announce the next day if needed.
I thought last time we voted right on the spot, the last meeting
You
with,
did.
That was an interim position.
with Greg, didn't we vote on the spot?
No, for the last GM1, you took a day.
We took a day.
Out of-
I don't,
Melty,
I don't, I think we could vote. I mean, that, my opinion, I think we could just vote that night as long as we have a voting procedure in place. And then, I get my opinion. I think we could vote that night.
Well, why don't we just do this? Let's set that as the objective. The sooner we can start the process, the better. Let's all hold the 16th and the 23rd evenings. I think it would be helpful if the search committee, we probably need a little bit more details on the process. So, we're going to need to align on questions, time amounts, order of interviews, what's happening with the candidates while the others are being interviewed, and then our voting process. So we may need to just book those two and then have our process review and then decide if we need to have an additional day for the official kind of vote, deliberation or vote.
One more sorry.
Go ahead, Dave. I apologize.
Little log on the fire is just that even if we did it the same night, the vote is move to enter contract negotiations with X. That is, I think, the proper way to do it. And then there's going to be, whether it's that night or probably another night, is to have that executive session to hammer out any details. This segues with the upcoming second half of this meeting of making sure that we're all aligned on those details. And after that, it becomes a hire. Paul?
Yes, correct. And I think that's part of why we're trying to make sure we get through the process and get the interview process done before end of October so that we leave ourselves space for those sessions.
One thing Susan did mention was we have questions that were created. We've went through a series of 8 questions with each candidate. We approximately had an hour. For the sake of this, we would have to say 45 minutes, right? 3 interviews at 45 minutes with some transition. Last time we did a random draw of the 3 candidates, 1, 2, or 3. The other candidates weren't allowed to listen to the interview from another, they were on premise, but in another room, not allowed to listen to the other person's responses. So that was the mechanics of that. We could look at those, distribute those 8 questions that we had, and if there's any desire to expand or retract those, we could do that. But 8 questions, you get basically 5-minute intro, 5 minutes per question, and then some and a follow-up. We would have to have it stay on time with for respect for the other candidates and respect of total time. So
Okay. Yeah, so it sounds like maybe we can appropriately distribute those questions to the board just for review.
Yep.
And then it sounds like the rest of the protocol is pretty well ironed out. So it's essentially we're talking about a 3-hour meeting one of those evenings with those time slots defined for candidates. So let's once the candidate list is available for our HR team, have them reach out and get their availability on October 16th or 23rd. And then Erica, let us know what the date looks like.
Perfect.
one suggest, could we start at 5:30 that night? So it would be a little bit earlier. We do like 5:30, 6:30, 6:30, 7:30, 7:30, 8:30, some conclusion. That would, that time works. I don't know if that is available for everybody at 5:30 on that night. Well, either one.
That would work fine for me personally. Does anybody have any issues with that?
No, it's fine.
5:30.
I'll be here.
17:30 it is.
I know it's maybe a little bit late, but, if we wanted to review questions, could we, I'm thinking I could probably do it next Wednesday, like, we want to do something 5 o'clock. If that would give them to the board in an executive session, right, we have the questions, if there's any questions about it, maybe we could do that, I think we have to, I believe we have to talk about the questions in public. If we're gonna talk about the questions, but maybe a meeting to go over them, or if we could always just schedule something for next Wednesday and then not use it, but if that might be time slot open.
So why don't we do this? Maybe the search committee chair and the HR lead could have a conversation about the best way to facilitate review of questions if that's possible. And then we can set up time if we need to. Wednesday the 9th is tough, or no, Wednesday the 8th, that would be tough for me, but we can figure something out.
Okay.
And, worst case, we receive the questions at the beginning of the meeting and maybe leave 10 or 15 minutes at the beginning of the meeting just to have a final public board review, and make any last minute edits to the questions before we jump into the interviews.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Anything else on the selection process for search committee?
No, I just wanted to, I think Ray reiterated the thanks for everybody that was involved, and to Susan and to Patty as well for the time commitment they put into that. So much appreciated.
Echo that. Absolutely. Thank you very much to everyone. That's a lot of hours, a lot of effort. And I know everybody put a very serious effort into that, and takes that responsibility seriously. So thank you all for that contribution.
I have a question. So what's going to happen on the 8th? We're going to review the questions?
So,
No.
yeah, so I think on the 8th, what we're trying to do is settle on the questions that we'll ask the candidates before the board, so that we are giving each candidate the same questions. And while we've had 8 that we worked with at the pre-interview, we want to see if those are the same questions or we want to tweak them for the final. So it's just a
So it's going to be a big
thing.
thing. Talk about the questions you're
Questions.
going to ask the candidate.
Yeah.
On the 8th.
On the 8th, yeah. So
Did we pick a time for that?
No, sorry, I didn't hear anything about a meeting on the 8th. I heard that there are 8 questions that have been compiled and recommended by the HR lead, and that the chair of the search committee and the HR lead would have a conversation about those questions and the best way to gather input from the board. And worst case is we just leave the first 15 minutes of our interview meeting to discuss and finalize the questions before we jump into interviews.
all right, but so we're not doing the 8th, but yes, the idea is we put forward questions that we'll use for each candidate.
The board will.
Yeah.
The
question is that I think the idea is not to have the questions necessarily be public until the night of the interview, which is tricky. So we want to make sure we're following the right steps there. Okay. Let's move to the contract committee. Rich, do you have an update?
Yeah, so the contract committee has met a few times. Our first meeting was essentially to review some existing contracts that we reviewed a few of them, and we continued to do that kind of through the course of our meeting. The most recent meeting, we brainstormed and eventually sort of distilled a few recommendations, and those are the recommendations that we're going to talk about a little bit in executive session.
And can you share a little bit about the process that you'd like to take from here in terms of the timeline of when we would have a draft contract, ideally to share with a candidate or candidates?
Yeah, I mean, I think the timeline that we've just talked about, I think will work depending on the outcome of the executive session. But essentially, I think we should be able to have a contract that the candidates could review, before, probably not weeks before, but at least days before their open interview on the 16th or whatever day we were just talking about, 17th.
Okay, so just to confirm, our goal would be to provide them with that draft to review before the interview.
Yeah.
Are we giving them time to review it before we post names of interview candidates?
I don't know when the names would be posted, but we would be able to give it to them by the 16th, at least that, according to our current plan, we'd be able to do that.
So at a minimum, I think we would, and folks can correct me on this, but we would need to post their names at least 48 hours in advance when we post the agenda for the meeting. So
I think so. I think that we would be able to have a contract for them by the 14th. For sure, if the availability is the 23rd instead, October 23rd, we would be able to have a contract ready for them on the 21st.
Okay, do we want to consider giving and again, this is perfect world enough time, right? So understand there may be time constraints, but do we want to give them at least 48 hours with the contract before, so they can confirm before their names are posted?
In an ideal world, yes. I mean, I think some of the process we need to sort of talk about a little bit based on the recommendations that we're making. So hopefully we'd be able to do it maybe 24 hours in advance of their names being posted.
We have to post their names 48 hours before the meeting. See.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Pam's question is, can we give them the contract 24 hours before we post their names? And my answer is hopefully.
Can I ask a question of the historians in the room, which might be Paul and Erica? I don't remember giving, not that we didn't, how that worked the last two times. Did we give somebody a contract? Like Erica's shaking her head no.
I don't believe so. I believe what happened was I do not think anyone saw a draft contract before going into negotiating. I think that once you pick somebody, then the contract negotiations happened. But
yeah, that's my memory too. And I was here for the last 13 years. So I get the spirit of this, but also that's not what we did before. So, and I don't know that, although it's for executive session, I don't know anything is all that,
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just trying to confirm what we want the process to be, because I thought that there had been other conversation at prior meetings. Maybe I'm not remembering correctly about, giving candidates visibility to the contract before they go public.
I don't know where it originated from, but I've heard it, but it's not something that I said or that Rich said.
No, I said that.
You did.
Yes, and I was, but my perfect world scenario, if we had a contract ready, then we hand that contract to somebody, they can review it, and if there were certain items in there that they did not, or didn't like, at that point, that would be, we could have a preliminary discussion as
Sure.
to whether or not they would continue.
But so two two things about that, Bob. One is that we're kind of starting a contract negotiation before we've even,
Absolutely.
and that seems a little awkward to me.
Yeah, very, very true, David. So maybe it would just be,
Yeah.
just here's what we have as, our contract,
You know,
right? And
be
no
very-
negotiation, no negotiation, right? That's a very good point. Yep.
Certainly that would be going above and beyond what we've done in the past, and I guess that's good to do. It does, doing negotiations before you've said we want to enter negotiations with you seems a little fraught to me. And also there's always the option that, not that we've done this before at RMLD, and I don't think we would do this, but not everybody has an employment contract. And I think even some GMs in the state, like in some situations, may not have one. Paul will correct me.
I'm not aware of any that would
don't.
step into that call.
Sure.
Out of contract.
Understood, but I think there might be some where, like certainly ones where it's a town department, it's a different setup, and then there's a few like that.
Yeah, so Danvers is that way, Concord is that way, Hull is that way. I know
Norwood.
Hull has a contract.
Okay.
I don't know Danvers. And I think Concord did also, but I'm not certain.
And then Norwood is another one, which is part of the town.
Correct. I
So-
believe they have one. He has one.
Right.
also.
And again, to your point and to your reaction of alarm, probably nobody would, but there is that option. You can have a job without anyway, not that would be an absolute deal killer, but just to say, it's a very nice thing to get. And, I think everybody's reasonable, but I promising that they're going to get to review and approve something before we enter negotiations, maybe we don't have to be doing that.
That almost feels like the cart before the
A
horse.
little bit. Yeah.
Okay. If let's keep it consistent, with prior years, or prior situations. We are moving toward with the assumption that they will have a contract. And we can hold that contract to share with the selected candidate for negotiations only after interviews complete.
I think so. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Both the most sense to me.
Okay, clear. So sounds like then either October 16th or 23rd would work for that purpose as well.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Is there anything else from the contract drafting committee before we move to executive session?
No, not from me. Maybe just a quick report that the contract committee has been me, and Dave and Vivek.
Thank you all for your extra time and effort on this. It is much appreciated. Would anyone like to read the motion to move us to executive session?
Oh, I'd love to read it.
Thank you, Ray.
Move that the RMLD Board of Commissioners go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 164, Section 47D, exemption from the public records and open meeting requirements in certain instances under the purpose number 2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel and return to open meeting session for the sole purpose of adjournment.
Second.
Well done.
Let's do a roll call.
Swanson, yes.
Talbot, aye.
Reporter, aye.
Did we lose Bob? Okay, Daskalakis, aye. We might have lost Bob.
Yep. Bob's
Oh.
aye.
Okay, thanks, Bob. All right, thank you all.